I'm a mother of 3, so by child number 3, it was really obvious to me that there was something off with Adrian.
And it was the right things weren't happening.
Even before we got the diagnosis, we started with therapy with him. Adrian was diagnosed with SSADH, which stands for succinic semialdehyde dehydrogenase deficiency. What it is, it's a metabolic disease that's very rare, and it blocks the GABA in his brain from being broken down into succinic semialdehyde.
Here he goes, here he comes.
That blockage accumulates over time, so it blocks the brain signals from telling his body what he needs to do. So he has developmental delays due to it. So we've had to work extra hard to teach him how to do the basic things.
With the help of the CDC, we have been able to get him to sit, we have been able to get him to crawl.
The CDC has been excellent at anticipating his needs, and they've been very proactive at getting him equipment.
The huge part is the physio for him, and that has been the biggest impact. Also for feeding, we needed help how to teach him to feed himself, so they were a big part of it.
If he does learn a skill, he won't regress. And what the CDC is doing with him is trying to develop as many of those milestones as early as we can, because the earlier you learn them, the easier it becomes later in life.
Here he comes.
Not only has the CDC helped him develop, it has helped us with his therapy, because they will show us how to help him to stand, how to help him to crawl, basically occupational therapy or therapies in general.
Call him.
Adrian, come, I'm getting out some Cheerios for you.
Having the CDC team come to our home and work with the siblings really does unite our family.
We knew right when Nathan was born that he had cerebral palsy.
Big, stretch it.
Because we knew that Nathan had a brain injury right away, we were able to start accessing the CDC when he was just a baby. So we were really lucky to get ahead of that.
Big step.
So being able to walk, of course, is a huge one. Things like dressing himself, feeding himself, using the bathroom on his own, that's all stuff. Those are all skills that he's had to learn one little step at a time, and it's all been facilitated through therapists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists.
Up and over. Woohoo! Okay.
You have no idea how much extra work you're doing when you're not accessing help. Because when I have a problem, I just walk into the center and I pick the appropriate expert on the topic and I say, this is the problem that I'm having, and they identify immediately what the problem that we're having is and what the solution is, and then we just work on that. And so they're able to empower you with so many tools to help your child succeed and thrive in environments that would typically be really challenging for them to function in.
1, 2.
The difference with the Child Development Center is that it's a hub, and so all of his therapists are here and they can both attend an appointment at the same time very easily, for example, or if they need to collaborate on something, they're right there. And as well as there's a social component to the hub. Like, in fact, Nathan just said to me the other day, just last week, he said, I used to think that I was the only kid who was different, but now I have lots of friends who are just like me.
Everything was pretty normal with Jake through the pregnancy.
There was a flathead when he was born, so we received support from them on what we should do, who we should see, specialists. They were really there to help us, guide us kind of along our journey.
We had one child. We didn't have any frame of reference for what was normal, what was abnormal for behaviors, or a lot for the developmental milestones and stuff. And so the CDC really guided us with that.
We had went through one I think it's called a CDBC-B test for autism, and we were told that We didn't qualify. We were close, but not quite enough. And over the years, we kept pursuing it, and support and encouragement from Estella, who was our main contact at the CDC. We had a second attempt in Victoria and were successful in receiving that diagnosis for our son so that he could be fully supported at school.
Having to go through all of that was very challenging. Trying to navigate that on your own would have been almost impossible, because sometimes you go into, specialists, they always mean very well, support people always mean very well, but sometimes their words, even though they're true, can be very hurtful. Particularly with Estella, she always came with something positive and wonderful to say about Jake. You felt like she was sort of an extension of our family. We went to Children's Hospital and we knew something wasn't quite right. And he was diagnosed with epilepsy, and it was a pretty big shock for us. It was a huge shock, actually.
The daycare centers didn't have enough staff or weren't able to staff just to be able to look after him. So they kind of augmented his care by having someone there each day that Jake was there. For us as parents, for our concerns, we both work. We really were put to rest knowing that there was going to be someone in addition there to help with Jake, integration, helping him interact with other kids, all kinds of stuff that made his experience a lot more positive and supported there.
The CDC really set us up with this really strong framework to get him through the early years.
Ready?
There's more and more kids who need access to these services. The time frame to get those supports so that they're maximized for these kids is pretty short, right? You can't wait 2 years for these services. These kids need them. When they need them now. They can't wait even 6 months or a year. I encourage all parents who have any question about their child to go, but also to do your best to support the CDC in whatever you can do.
Go!